Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you all are doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about insulin, the most anabolic compound. So before we get into this, I want to say my disclaimer. I am not a doctor, nor do I pretend to be one. I do not have any medical training. I am not a chemist. I do not encourage the use of any substances, legal or illegal, and this video is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. I mean this sincerely. So, insulin use is considered highly controversial in bodybuilding and lifting. Obviously, it is a life-saving compound for diabetics. This compound, if used incorrectly, can kill you. I don't think enough people know that insulin can kill you and has a multitude of side effects, even if it doesn't kill you. And let's say you got into the hospital right when a lot of the really bad stuff was happening, you can have even paralysis. I think you can end up permanently paralyzed in certain situations. So insulin can be extremely dangerous. Now, I still consider DNP to be more dangerous because if you get to the hospital in time with insulin, they can give you things to help to save your life. But with DNP, all they can do is put you on ice and give you fluids. That's it. Because DNP has nothing. There's no antidote. There's no cure. There's no save your life substance once you've taken too much DNP. It is an extreme nutrient partitioner, which is why it is the most anabolic compound, because it can increase muscle and fat mass very, very quickly. Anybody who's used it, diabetic or not, will tell you they probably gained a lot of weight as soon as they start using it. Comes in many different forms, two of which are actually over-the-counter. It's sold at Walmart, excluding the state of Indiana. Indiana has different legislation that makes it not over-the-counter available, but Walmart sells two forms of what's called human insulin. The ones that are prescription grade are actually analogs, which means they're a little bit better and longer forms, typically speaking, to my understanding, that help regulate blood sugar over a longer period of time and make it generally a lot more user-friendly for people who have to use them, being diabetic. Human insulin is also considered to be older and harder to manage because of its varying half-life, how quick it's in your system, and the fact that so many people have varying responses to human insulin. Insulin is considered, like I said, to be it is considered to be the ultimate nutrient partitioner. And that is why it is so effective at building muscle and fat mass. And if you notice, I'm saying muscle and fat because insulin is responsible for gaining a lot of fat as well. That's something people overlook, and they hear muscle and then they completely negate the fact that you can gain a lot of fat on this compound. When used in the bodybuilding world, is not only dangerous but can cause unwanted fat gain, as I mentioned, because it is so often used incorrectly. And the reason I'm putting air quotes on that is because there is no consensus on what the correct usage of insulin in a bodybuilding or lifting context is. If you don't need insulin, there's no way to know what the correct usage of insulin is, because some people will say you need to add on extra calories and use the insulin to account for those extra carbohydrate-based calories. Other people will say, well, you only need to use it for what you're already using to bulk. And both of these factors are, the fact of the matter is, a doctor would never tell you to do this because it's extremely dangerous. It can kill you. It can make you pass out. So it's really important to know that there is no actual correct way to do it in bodybuilding, because anytime anybody tells you the correct way, somebody is going to argue with them. And I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying that there isn't one way that's more safe than the other. I'm saying that someone will always argue with another person on what is the correct way to gain muscle mass for bodybuilding using this compound. I would never condone that, by the way. I legitimately do not condone the use of this compound because it is so dangerous. What's really cool is they have this newer thing for diabetics that comes in a patch. It has a little kind of like a pinprick. Usually it's put right about here on your arm. Sorry, I have a scab there. And you have to rotate it, obviously, because you have to rotate sites where something will pierce your skin. Otherwise, your body will adapt and start to close it. But basically what it does is it tests your blood sugar levels constantly and will feed you insulin as you need it, to my understanding. Or at least it will tell you on your phone what your blood sugar levels are all the time, so you don't have to keep pricking your fingers and getting, really tough, calloused fingers. And then you can inject insulin based on what that thing reads, which is incredible to me. It would be really freaky if it malfunctioned, but other than that, we already have to, rely on it for doing our people already have to rely on it for doing their pinpricks when they're diabetics. So either way, I think that's really cool, and I think it's really cool, and I said that twice, in advancement of technology, and I can't wait to see where that technology goes. But getting back into the bodybuilding or mass gaining side of things, many things like glucose disposal agents exist. Now, these are natural compounds, or sometimes they can be technically pharmacological, that help to nutrient partition. They help to allow carbohydrates to flood into the muscle when they need it most. Obviously, your body's natural insulin is probably going to be the best, and so keeping a natural, healthy insulin resistance level, you don't want to become insulin resistant, but a natural, healthy insulin resistance level would be what you would want primarily. But these can supposedly, from the efficacy data that I have seen, help with nutrient partitioning and actually help to keep you from becoming insulin resistant. For bodybuilders, strongmen, powerlifters, people who are eating massive amounts of carbohydrates in a day. Like I said, they, to my understanding, have decent efficacy data. I encourage discussion on this, and I encourage you to do your own research. And I've heard that, I know that they are a much safer and easier way to utilize them than insulin. It's an insulin type growth. Obviously, it wouldn't be as strong as the actual hormone injecting into your body, but it goes down that same pathway, we can say. And it's much safer because of the data that we've collected on it, and the fact that a lot of these are mainstream supplements like berberine, like cinnamon. Taking small amounts of cinnamon and having even some black pepper extract to help that absorb better have shown that it actually helps people's bodies to utilize what carbohydrates they're ingesting more of, to absorb it more readily. If you would like to learn more about glucose disposal agents, please let me know in the comments of this video. I would be glad to make a video on glucose disposal agents. So, anecdotally, going into insulin, I know people who have used it. I, again, do not recommend the use of it because one of my friends had extremely low blood sugar and almost passed out. He was in a store, and luckily it was a store that served food, so he just started scarfing down food, and that essentially saved his life. The tricky thing is bodybuilders oftentimes combine this with things like growth hormone or MK677, things that naturally raise your blood sugar, but can also make you feel like you have low blood sugar. Oftentimes when you take an excessive amount of MK677, ibutamorin, I believe it's also called, it raises your natural growth hormone, which can make you feel extremely tired and is very, very, and shaky, which is very, very similar to having very low blood sugar from too much insulin. So that is extremely dangerous, as I learned from my friend. Obviously I can't tell anybody what they can do or not do. I think that human insulin being over the counter is actually useful, and I think it's important because it being over the counter makes it cheap, makes it about like $25, which means people who maybe lost their jobs, lost their insurance, and can still go to the doctor and say, hey doc, I can't afford this insulin that's like $700 because they keep hiking the price. Can I use human insulin and we monitor it instead? Now, sure, it's not ideal, but it could save your life, which I think is important, even though it's more difficult. It can save people's lives, so that's why I think human insulin should actually stay over the counter. That's just a personal opinion of mine. And yeah, if you have any concerns on your blood sugar levels or anything like that, please talk to your doctor. That's pretty much going to be it for the video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell for when new videos come out. Like I said, comment down below if you want to know more about glucose disposal agents, or if you just have something to say, share it with your friends. If you're on Rumble, hit that Rumble button and do all of the same things. Until next time, keep those shoulders back and down when you lift, and I hope everyone has a good one.